What's going on, YouTube? It's Big Brother 749 coming back at you with another video. I want to talk about the situation with this former New York governor, Andrew Cuomo. It's been reported last week that the Albany district attorney had dropped criminal charges against him that was related to claims of sexual harassment made against him by a former aide. And the dismissal of the charge came just a few days before Cuomo was supposed to appear in Albany City Court for the first time, for the case which was filed in October, and they just feel that they couldn't prove the case. And I just want to give my take on this whole situation. And now with Cuomo, I don't know if the former aide was telling the truth or not, since there's no proof or evidence of it. But regardless if he did it or not, the charges have been dropped at the end of the day. And Cuomo could be innocent, but I think sometimes we still gotta be aware that there's a lot of reasons why criminal charges may not survive. Because just because they can't prove the case doesn't mean that they're not guilty. And only Cuomo and the former aide really knew what went on. And I mean, she said that he had already groped her once before, before her visit to the mansion while repairing his TV, where she said he did it there again. And I'm wondering, um, why didn't she report him the first time? And far as the rest of the women who filed against him, I don't think he sexually assaulted these women, but I do think that Mr. Kumo might have went overboard with the touching and kissing. And I feel as a governor, whenever you're dealing with women, whether it'll be a female aide or whatever, if the woman's not your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend, or mistress, or just someone you're fooling around with, you should never touch or kiss them, without their consent. And though I don't know if Kumo is 100% innocent, I still feel that it was fair and reasonable that the charges were dropped against him because, for one, he's no longer in office, and he didn't need it to be charged. It was enough charges to get him fired, which he was back in August, but it was not enough to prosecute him. And I didn't think it was serious enough for him to be charged or to be put in prison because it wasn't criminal behavior. And I felt, by him being removed from office and putting an end to his political career was fair, reasonable enough. Because I've heard stories of supervisors getting fired for sexual harassment, but they never were charged or went to jail. And even though Kumo got off, he still has to live with the fact that he's viewed in a different light now, and he probably will be, viewed that way for the rest of his life. He now has a ruined reputation, just like his brother Chris from CNN. Because I feel that anytime you're being accused of sexual harassment as a governor or any other sensitive position, that's not going to make you look good. And there's nothing, he could really do to clean up his image at this point. He's going to look guilty no matter how hard he try to live it down. Even when you're not guilty, that'll always be your label to some people because there's always going to be some folks who's going to think that you did it, regardless if you did it or not. Because there were folks who actually thought the world of Kumo, especially during Trump's callous approach to the lies he told about COVID. And while that was going on, Kumo was holding daily briefings, press meetings, and he presented himself as quite a leader. He wasn't afraid to put Trump in his place and call out the lies, from the Oval Office. And he was talking shit about Trump, and now he was being accused of doing the same things that Trump had done. And he probably hurt the Democrats' chances of 2022, and that was the only reason why a lot of folks, had turned against him. And it made Biden look bad too because folks, were feeling like Biden, couldn't control or hold the party together. And plus, Kumo, he tried to present himself as a hero and a leader during this pandemic, yet he was responsible allegedly for the deaths in a nursing home. And you would think, he'd be charged for that instead. Because I noticed how they just ignored that and focused on this scandal instead, of the situation with the nursing home. And when I first heard about these sexual allegations, it seemed suspect to me because, here he was talking about how he was against sexual harassment, and how this same guy who came out to support women and said sexual harassers need to be punished were, was being accused. Now he's being accused of sexual harassment. And like most people, I doubted the allegations at first because there was no proof. And at the time, when I first heard about this, I thought it might have been, a couple of miserable, angry, disgruntled women who didn't get what they wanted and was making false allegations as revenge. And that's usually the first thought I have whenever I see stuff like this, because that's usually the case. And then I also thought that maybe it could have been the fact that he announced that he was going to run for president, and some folks didn't want that because they're like, he's an Italian dude who's against Trump, and they felt making false allegations was going to be their way, and to get back at him. But really, I thought it was mainly the revenge coming from the women, because there are some very treacherous females out there, and I feel women go too far with these allegations sometimes. And I hate hearing stuff like this because men's lives and careers and reputations have been ruined. Plus, all these women, all they doing is just making it harder for the real victims who's going through sexual assault, such as the female aide story. It didn't really sound realistic in a way. She said that she was fixing his TV in his private room, and he walked in, closed the door, just reached and grabbed and groped her, under her blouse out the blue. Because I started, to think if he really groped or sexually assaulted her, the former aide, or any other woman like that, you would think that there would have been a natural, quick reaction, like they would have socked him right there on the spot or slapped the shit out of him and reported him immediately. Because I do think women can be more, valid than men. I mean, men commit the most crimes, but women are actually more valid because women, they're more quick to fight, shout, pick up, and throw things when they get angry at someone. Because, like, if you get a staff of female employees or just a bunch of women together, and there's going to be, a lot of drama. While you don't see much of that, with a staff of male employees or a group of men, because women, they're more quick to reaction, because we've seen situations where, like, for example, a woman could be walking down the street and some pervert might walk up and smack her butt, and she turn around, slap the shit out of him. And I think most women, especially American women, are like that. Women nowadays are aggressive, and not to say that they're all capable of whooping a dude's ass, because yeah, while there are some women who can take a guy, the majority of them can't. Not women in general, but they still got a lot of fight in them. And with women, I also notice how they're more outspoken than us men sometimes. I notice how they're not afraid to speak their mind, whenever they feel something's not right. And yeah, women are still women, they're still emotional, but I don't think a lot of them are as delicate and soft as we think. And I've seen photos of Cuomo touching and kissing the women on the cheek, which wasn't right, but I wouldn't say it was a criminal act. I just think it caught the women off guard, and it made them feel uncomfortable. Like, whoa, okay, what is he doing? To where if he would have groped or sexually assaulted them, they would have naturally reacted faster by socking them or slapping them. And I mean, some women will still even do that just by touching and kissing them. Every woman is different. And like Kumo said, they should have told him that he was making them uncomfortable, but they didn't, and he wasn't aware of it. And if they told him and he stopped and he apologized and never did it again, then okay. But if he still continued on and did it after they told him to stop, and that they already told him that they were feeling uncomfortable, then that's serious. And I can understand the discomfort, because he does sort of have a strange, narcissist, creepy vibe. Just judging by his carelessness, nonchalant demeanor, while being accused, that might have seemed like those allegations might have been true. And with Kumo, I think he might have, was just showing way too much more affection than needed. He showed way too much more than usual that could have easily been perceived as a harassment. Far as unusual embracing or kissing that made these women uncomfortable, and not have known or was aware that that was a part of his culture. And yeah, it's weird, but I didn't think it was nothing to the extreme, such as groping or rape or sexual assault, such as a kiss on the cheek or forehead. It may be kind of weird and inappropriate if she didn't want it, since most men don't greet women they're not intimate with in that way, but it's nothing sexual. Because there's many Latin Spanish folks that greet people, with the double kiss on the cheek because it's a part of their culture, but some women still find it offensive coming from a governor or a boss or whatever, and I understand it. And like most women don't like it when a man touches them, period. And some women are sensitive and even will get offended just by telling them that they look good. Because most women in general don't like the fact that a man that they're not attracted to, is showing them affection to where he's repeatedly touching her, and she may feel that it's inappropriate because, he's doing all this unwanted behavior. And I've heard people comparing this scandal to Bill Cosby. How law enforcement had no problem throwing Cosby in prison for 3 years over false allegations, and how the media was demonizing Cosby way more harshly than the governor, Cuomo. And that's true. I mean, yeah, you already know it's all because Bill Cosby was black. I get that, but I was thinking it could have also been that Bill's allegations were a little bit more serious because they were rape allegations, false rape allegations by ad. And Cosby's sentencing was basically over hearsay, no proof or evidence at all. And how could a woman prove a rape that happened 30, 40 years ago? But it was believed that Cosby did it, and he was still facing those crazy allegations, and was still sent to prison. While this Governor Cuomo's allegations were more of consisting of sexual harassment or unwanted touching and inappropriate touching and behavior, things that could be considered misdemeanors. And though Kumo had more evidence, it wasn't criminal evidence, and he might have felt, that he hasn't done anything wrong, all because he didn't rape them. He's thinking just as long as he didn't do any of those things or none of that, everything else he was doing was okay. Because his defense was like, hey, this is just the way I am, the way I was brought up. I'm just being warm and friendly. I was kissed a lot by my parents. And while these allegations were going on, he refused to leave office, which would have probably done damage to the party. It made him look bad because the Democratic Party wanted him to leave, and he's refused to leave even after being accused of sexually harassing women. And his constituents were asking him to leave office, and he refused to listen. Not to mention the potential lawsuits that would have came at him probably would have made him look even more guilty. And folks felt, that he didn't want to step down and do the right thing, which showed a lack of character. And they felt that he never stood, what he believed in, and and he did step down eventually. And I felt maybe the reason why he refused to resign and step down was because he's thinking that by him not resigning, that's going to prove something and make it look like he's innocent and hasn't done anything wrong. Because if he would have stepped down sooner, like the Democratic Party wanted him to, that's basically was going to make him look like he was admitting that he did it. And had he resigned voluntarily without the Democratic Party forcing him to leave, then that would have showed that he was trying to run away and was scared that maybe more women would expose him. I mean, he was going to look guilty either way. But he stepped down as the governor of New York, and now the charges have been dropped, and he's free. And I heard he wants to run for office again. But really, there's nothing he and his brother can really do to clean up their image at this point. Because like I said, whenever, as soon as you're being accused of something like that, even when you're not guilty or you didn't mean any harm, or that's just your culture or how you were raised or whatever reason, once you're being accused of sexual assault, that'll always be your label to some people. Because, like I said, there's always going to be some folks who's going to think you did it regardless if you did it or not. And that's why, as a man, and not just governors or senators or any politician, but all men in all professional fields, you got to be extremely careful about stuff like this when you get around women, especially, if you're in a sensitive position, a position of power. And you got to be careful and smart because women will expose you and ruin your life if you're doing wrong. So you must keep it professional and keep your hands to yourself. And plus, when you're in a position of power, You don't need to molest women. You got all the fame and power and fortune and success, and women may naturally be drawn to you because of that. And this don't have to happen. And with Kumo being replaced by Kathy Hochul, I felt that was safer for a woman to take the job, since there'll be no more concerns or worries about false allegations against men. And I don't know if Kathy Hochul is as affectionate as Kumo, but it'll seem normal for a woman to be affectionate. You know, they could be affectionate to men and women. It's all a double standard. There's things women can do and say that a man can't do and say. And people aren't aware that there's also women who may be affectionate or more extreme and vulgar than, than that, with guys at work without consent. But, but they never get charged or exposed or have their lives and reputations ruined. Even if there's other women there that witnessed it, because most women, they don't call each other out. They may laugh and joke about it, give each other high fives, because women, they tend to stick together more, and they'll never tell on each other or report their wrongdoings. And I say the only time a woman would get in trouble is maybe if it was a female teacher that did something inappropriate to a male student. That's the closest we've seen when it comes to women getting charged, for sexual misconduct on the job. And some even got away with that. But as far as women making unwanted advances to a man at work or in any professional field, we just don't see this happening to women as far as them suffering consequences and being charged. Because as men, we can't flirt at work, but women, they're free to flirt with no charges made against them. Even when we're trying to keep it professional, sometimes that don't even work, because there's some women out there who seeking attention, even those who are already in monogamous relationships, because there's been situations where if a man ain't trying to hit on a woman, or he rejects a woman's advances, especially if the woman's attractive, then she's going to get mad, and he's going to be accused of being gay, because see, people are tripped. And I don't think that this happens, as a whole like that, but it does happen, and there are some women who do flirt and sexually harass men at work. And there's been guys who've been through these type of situations, and they know that they can't do anything about it because they're men. And it wouldn't seem normal for them to report a woman for sexual harassment, because it's not taken as seriously, since as men, we're supposed to take it as a compliment and accept the unwanted advances. Because if if men did those same things to women, then these men would be in serious trouble and would lose their jobs in a heartbeat. But the rules should apply for both sides. Both men and women should keep their hands to themselves at work and keep it professional. And Kumo and his brother probably done some damage to CNN 2022 midterm elections and 2024 presidential election, because they weren't thinking rationally. And I just think that short-term cause could lead to a long-term effect. So think about what you're doing. But that's all I want to say, folks. This is Big Brother 749 signing out. I'm out. Peace.